Hello, everybody. Kathy and I are back, and we're feeling rather excited. Well, I am. Kathy's not feeling so hot, but I'm back wearing my Kamala brat shirt for a good reason, and and things are heating up, and things are heating up in the way we kind of said they would, basically. But Okay, I'm Louise Edington, Cosmic Owl Astrology. I have a YouTube channel that you're on, or if you're on Kathy's, come to Cosmic Owl Astrology on YouTube. I also write on Substack as Cosmic Owl Astrology, and my website is louiseeddington.com. And I'm also excited because we're in August and my book's coming out on August the 12th formally. And I'm nearly fully up to date with signing and mailing all the signed pre-orders, and the reviews are brilliant, and I'm really excited by all of that as well. So, Kathy.
I'm Kathy Biehl. My website is empowermentunlimited.net. My YouTube channel is Professional Aquarian. Let's see what else. My Patreon is patreon.com/Kathy Biehl. I have a Facebook group, the Astro Insight Lounge, where we discuss what's going on in the sky, on the ground. There's a lot of political astrology talk there and stupid sun sign memes. So, and when Louise said I'm not feeling quite well, that is true, but it has nothing to do with the news. It's a
No.
physical thing. So in terms of the news, I am where Louise is.
Yeah, and I'm wearing I found my series necklace
Perfect.
pendant and for this too, because series is active this week too. So first, have you got a roundup of the news? I didn't
I
ask
do
you.
have a roundup for the news, and actually it is, I've really pared it back. And mostly what I'm going to be talking about is a group of events that play out largely Mercury retrograde developments. There are a few others, and I'll say what they are when I get to them. So in the Mercury retrograde, revelations, redo, revisiting, communication snafu, whatever, word is that the ex-CEO of Astronomer is going to sue Chris Martin of Coldplay for his comments after the Kiss Cam caught the ex-CEO with his co-worker girlfriend to whom he was not married. All right, so that in the redo department, a House rep has introduced a bill to rename the Kennedy Center for Trump. Problem is that the founding documents do say that it is to honor the legacy of John F. Kennedy, so we'll see what happens with that. Trump pressured the Smithsonian to remove his impeachments from an exhibit on problems in presidencies. That one is severe, right to the Smithsonian. This is not a good thing. There's a transfer in the Pentagon's budget of almost $1 billion that had been earmarked for upgrading nuclear missile silos. And apparently it's gone to an unnamed classified budget item that appears to include renovating the plane that was given to Trump by Cotter. Then we have the dueling ethics complaints department. Judge Boasberg, who has been dealing with a number of ICE cases where the DOJ attorneys have not been forthcoming and haven't done things and haven't met deadlines, etc. He has now said he's going to file ethics complaints against the Department of Justice lawyers. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice filed an ethics complaint against him for statements that he has made about what the administration is doing. The Department of Justice has dropped charges against the Los Angeles ICE protesters because of lies in the ICE paperwork that was presented to the court, and a federal court has dismissed the administration's lawsuit over against Chicago over its sanctuary city policies. More in chaos in the legal system. There's absolute chaos in the New Jersey federal courts right now because of what the game that was played with Aileen Haba's appointment to be the acting U.S. attorney for the state of New Jersey, and her time expired, and the judges removed her and appointed someone else. And Pam Bondi took her out and put her in a lower position. So now defense attorneys are using this as grounds to to object to cases going forward against their clients, and there are many, many other things going on with grand juries, etc. So chaos. Um, a circuit court has rejected the Department of Justice's appeal of an order finding the birthright citizenship executive order unconstitutional, and also upholding a universal injunction against enforcing that. A court has ordered the administration to release Medicaid funds to Planned Parenthood. A group of Department of Justice employees who were fired, who had outstanding track records, have filed suit against Pam Bondi. Technology, a couple of technology things, always frequent with a Mercury retrograde.
Mhm.
Cyber attack on the city of St. Paul was so widespread that Governor Walz has called in the National Guard, which apparently has a cybersecurity component to it.
Wow.
And Anonymous hacked into and defaced 50 Russian databases in support of Ukraine and Georgia. Bum, bum. CBS News learned that the missing footage in the Epstein surveillance footage may not be missing, and then reported that the footage isn't of the floor where Epstein's cell was. And so who knows what's going on with that? Absolute confusion. Um, Ghislaine Maxwell responded to the House Oversight Committee, which wants her to come testify with demands for full immunity and many more concessions, which they have declined to give. Meanwhile, she has a case, an appeal pending in front of the Supreme Court, which is going to hear it at the end of September. End of September. Mark that in your brain. We're going to talk about the end of September in a minute.
Mhm.
Senator Ron Wyden has notified the Attorney General that there are more than $1 billion in 4,725 wire transfers involving Epstein's accounts. And he actually has a live on YouTube going through the information.
Mhm.
And Chuck Schumer, the minority leader in the Senate, invoked a 100-year-old rule that allows 5 senators to force the Department of Justice to hand over documents. So that's where we currently are with the whole. Well, and Trump also admitted that he knew the names of girls, underage girls who worked at Mar-a-Lago that Epstein took from him. All right, that's all for now on
Oh,
that. Two more
anyway.
areas. The Freedom of the Press Foundation has formally asked the Office of Disciplinary Counsel of the D.C. Court of Appeals to probe and consider disbarring the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, the one who got himself inserted himself in the middle of the Paramount Skydance merger terms by requiring certain things. And he has, by the way, just thrown into the conversation that, yeah, axing Colbert was part of the deal, contrary to what CBS has said.
Yeah.
Mercury Kazemi, all right. Mercury meeting the sun, a moment of incredible clarity. Um, this will stand Substack interviews a former a national security professional who talks about an NSA aligned election review that indicated that, yes, Kamala and Walz won by a landslide, and here's how they did it. So, Mercury Kazemi, probably the biggest thing we could have asked for. One final grouping, Venus moved into Cancer, squaring Saturn and Neptune. So Venus, woman moving into Cancer, the sign of our country, home, nurturing, caring, and then pushing against this spiritual warrior, moral outrage kind of vibe. Several important things happened. Kamala announced that she has a book about her campaign, and she
Mhm.
did her first post-election interview with Stephen Colbert, and the unedited version, the extended version, is on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert's YouTube channel. I encourage you to watch it because her language tracks the astrology right and left. And it does speak about taking back your power. No one can take your power from you. This is definitely a Saturn Neptune in Aries moment. And Biden spoke at the National Bar Association on the same night, imploring the judiciary to do its job and saying outright that Trump is dismantling the Constitution. So
Mm.
there we are with the news.
Whew. Yeah. Ah. Oh, it's huge. Anyway, the aspects, the next couple of weeks are just going to be wild, in my opinion. Absolutely wild in a good way. Anyway, so I kind of, Kathy mentioned a couple other things already, but I just want to kind of
Mhm.
embed them in your mind. Venus has just gone into Cancer and is going to make some very significant aspects, which we'll talk about. Um, not the least of which I will kind of talk about a little bit, is that she will square her Venus star point from March the 22nd, which was at 2
Kamala's.
Aries. Hmm.
You left that part out.
Sorry?
You left out that you're talking about Kamala's chart.
Oh, no, these are just the general aspects. So I'm not talking about
Oh,
Kamala's.
oh, oh, so it's squaring the this year's Venus star point.
Hmm.
My
Yeah.
fault. Excuse me. Mercury retrograde.
Yep. No, no, she's this is just the general aspects. So we'll that's kind of like first quarter opening square from things that happened in March. So just watch that space. So July the 30th, Chiron stationed retrograde at 27 degrees 9 minutes of Aries. That's really significant because of when we look at Kamala's chart, which we're going to look at. July the 31st, yesterday, we had the Mercury Cazimi, which Kathy mentioned, and that whistleblower came out. Incidentally, you can look him up online. He's got a Substack. Adam Zarnowski, his name is, and he's various other places. So, you know, he's not hiding away. He's not like a mysterious anonymous whistleblower. So anyway, so the Kazemi revealed that, and Harris coming out, and these are all important for her chart as well. Moving forward to today. Today we have Venus, remember, Venus is just squaring that point, is squaring Saturn and Neptune, which are both retrograde at the beginning of Aries, activating that star point from March. So August the 2nd, tomorrow we have Venus making an aspect of adjustment, a quincunx or inconjunct to Pluto in Aquarius. And you know, those two have a habit of digging up hidden things, but also about people digging into their deepest core values. And so a lot of people are going to wake up and kind of go, this is not what we want anyway. On the same day, Mars still in where is Mars now? Virgo.
Virgo.
Mars in Virgo will quincunx Chiron on the 2nd. So another aspect of adjustment. And if you remember, Chiron is still at stationed retrograde. So that's a powerful aspect of adjustment there as well. Chiron in Aries. On the 6th, we have a little break for a few days. Mars moves into Libra and activates these air grand trines. Lots of information, lots of news. We'll look at those on the chart. But it's got two strings, as Kathy says. Would you like to kind of elaborate on what you mean by two strings? I like that idea.
Oh, all right. Well, so when there's a grand trine, there is a round robin of energy, and this is going to be in air from Uranus and Gemini to Mars and Libra to Pluto and Aquarius. And so when you have that, you need something to ground it. You look for, is there a point between two of the points? Well, we've got 2 points between two of the points. And I'm
Mhm.
looking at this as like little booster rockets or energy cells or battery packs that will continue fueling the Grand Trine. One of them is Saturn, Neptune in Aries. So finding a way to pull your own leadership, taking your own power, acting from your own connection to something that is greater than you. possibly. And then the other one is Mercury moving into the degree, its direct station degree, and it's not
Mhm.
going to station direct until next week. So there's this sense of really slowing and the fire just building and building and building and building. And what this tells me with two strings that are in fire to this flow of intellectual energy is that it's going to spread like crazy, whatever is being revealed, whatever is being talked about, whatever is being acted on with Mars in Libra. And secondly, people are going to be very, very, very passionate in their responses. And a lot of it you're going to take very, very personally with Mercury being in Leo. And one final thing about that, since Mercury is crawling to the end of its retrograde, a lot of what is fueling this flow, this crazy flow of energy, will be information or developments or events that have been happening since Mercury went retrograde on the 18th of July. So there's like this
And
long tail.
I did show those two kites that makes the air grand trine to the fire signs on my full moon video, and we can show them quickly again in the chart so people can get a little
Mhm,
bit of an eyeball on it. But I will say it's active for this basically this whole period that we're talking
mhm.
about here. So it's you'll start to feel it immediately, I think, as Mars enters Libra, right? Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah. So on the 7th, we have the Leo Sun. Incidentally, the Leo Sun will be at 15 degrees on this day, which is not only a world point, but it's also the degree that that Mercury stationed retrograde at. So again, going back to that, the Sun will oppose Pallas Athena, the strategic justice warrior kind of thing, in Aquarius, the sign of the people or humanitarianism. So that's we've got that powerful opposition. Before I talk about the other, 7th is a huge day. We've also, as the Sun opposes Pallas, we've also got Vesta in Scorpio will square Pallas Athena, and so that's making a T square, a fixed T square, which is really kind of forcing um, things to be manifested in many ways. I think from our Vesta relates to the inner flame, but also the state. All right. So, and in the sign of Scorpio, that's, both empowerment and secrets coming out. It's like more secrets coming out. And on the 7th as well, Venus in Cancer will oppose Centaur Pholus, which is kind of like the lid comes off and it's cause and effect. It's like something, strings of, events started by something else coming out. And the opposition in Cancer, Venus in Cancer opposing Pholus in Capricorn, is square to 9 degrees of Leo, which is not square, sorry, aspecting the 9-degree Leo Cazimi point. So these degrees are being activated. So Venus will be sextile to um, that Cazimi point. So it's just going to keep coming out, basically. And on that day as well, Mercury will enter 4 degrees Leo, the station degree, preparing to station direct. So, and that's also the degree of, what was that? The degree of the moon. Which moon was it?
Oh, the new
So
moon
many
of Leo,
things.
the
The
new moon
the
in
new
Leo.
moon. New moon. I couldn't remember. New moon, full moon. Oh. Honestly, my ADHD is like off the charts with this Uranus thing. And speaking of Uranus, because Uranus is opposing my Mercury, right? So this is not just Mercury retrograde. But on the 8th, speaking of Uranus, Mars, newly in Libra, will actually exactly trine Uranus. And so that's really starts activating that air grand trine. But Mars will also oppose Saturn exactly on the 8th. So you can see this process of it building. But on that same day as well, the 8th, the Leo sun has moved off that 15-degree mark, but will trine that unbroken flow aspect of opportunity, Ceres in Aries, so a fire trine, and Ceres is about to station retrograde, so that makes that one more potent too. 9th, we have a full moon, Aquarius full moon at 16 degrees. I've done a video on it. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah. And and so a full moon is an opposition. So the sun's in Leo and the moon is in Aquarius. But on that day as well, Mars in Libra will oppose Neptune exactly, activating that string that we talked about. So we've got all this stuff around the middle degrees of fixed signs and the very early degrees of many signs. On the 10th, Mars will exactly trine unbroken flow again, Pluto in Aquarius, that air grand trine. 11th, Mercury stations direct at 4 degrees Leo, Ceres stations retrograde at 16 Aries. And if you read my new book, Mercury and Ceres are both boundary crossers and very much about kind of bringing in this message of what's changing, right? So they're working together on that day. And Saturn will exactly sextile an opportunity aspect Uranus for the second time. So Saturn in Aries will sextile Uranus in Gemini. And then on the 12th, that my book comes out, and Venus meets Jupiter exactly, but it's also exactly conjunct fixed star Sirius, which I don't normally look at, but it's big because this doesn't always happen together. This is all happening at 14 degrees of Cancer, which is on conjunct the USA's sun. And it's also on the heliacal rise of Sirius, the sun of our sun, rising in the east. So you'll be able to see Venus, Jupiter, and Sirius in the east if you get out there and have a look. And this is quite a powerful conjunction. Venus and Jupiter meet often, but not at this degree, and not conjunct Sirius, and not when they're all rising in the east. So east, new beginnings, right? And the 14th, last day we're going to talk about, Venus coming off that conjunction will square Ceres still stationed at 16 degrees Cancer Aries. So that means really that big conjunction is square to Ceres, nurturing, nourishment, what feeds us, our needs met and unmet. Can you see where we might be going with all of this? And then on the 14th as well, Mercury has moved off, well, Mercury does move off that station direct degree, moves to 5 degrees, and then makes a sextile aspect of opportunity to Mars in Libra at 5 degrees, 5 minutes. And I love my numbers. 5 is the number of change, the number of the media. There's going to be a lot coming in the news. I think anything to add to all of that.
There's an interesting progression going on here. Venus, okay, women, money, values in Cancer, changing signs and then immediately contacting Saturn and Neptune and then Pluto, getting very intense, focusing in on something over this first weekend of Venus. We could have an awful lot more talk about what has happened to girls, about things with money. I think this is only going to fuel more of the stuff about these files that supposedly, do they exist, do they not exist, or to what extent are people in them? When Mars moves into Libra, it's going to go through the same encounters. So something that gets stirred and brought to our attention when Venus makes this move, then we start acting on it. Then we start dealing with it. And there's a huge not going away. We keep saying that. A really
Yeah.
deep, powerful, not going away vibe to all of this. There could be actual attacks successfully getting information out, getting documents, getting files. Could be a
Mm.
lot more lawsuits going on. A lot of this is going to involve girls, women, sex trafficking, because when Mars and Pluto get together, they're dealing with the icky stuff. Um,
Mhm.
so
And
everything, yeah.
sorry, just one other thing that's
Mhm.
come out that I wasn't really in the news, but there's a big post going around about the old modeling agencies and the pipeline of trafficking of young girls. And guess who used to run a modeling agency? Our dear apparent leader. And so, but there's all these other kind of names being brought in, which I haven't had time to go and investigate them. Um, Kathy and I have looked many times. We looked at Russia, we've looked at like their intent, we've looked at some of the other oligarchs around the world. They're not exactly working together, as in they sit round a table and plan it, but they're all trying to seize power and wealth and, hold on to it. And the tech bros are too. And so it's all coming out, everything, I think. Anyway.
And
Mhm.
the way that it's so interconnected is part of it as well.
Oh
A
yeah, yeah. They
lot of
they
it.
they they work with for each other, whether they or when it's convenient, shall we say.
Mhm.
They turn a blind eye to anything that they don't like the look of morally. They don't have any, really, basically. My opinion.
So an easy way or a shorthand way to look at what is going on in the next 2 weeks is refocusing, zooming in on values, women's issues, money issues, and then a lot of information, a lot of stirring things up,
Mm,
a lot of taking action on all of that, a lot of implementing, like, okay, now we have this, what are we going to do about it?
yeah. And I would kind of suggest before we dive into Harris's chart, which is so lit up, I would suggest trying to really lift yourself out of the just that last election, because this is all turning out to be way, way bigger than just some election interference and things. And the fact that she went on Colbert, perfect pick, of course, and said, she's not interested in running for office at the moment. I think she's gone into prosecutor mode personally, and she wants to be a part of helping to uncover it. She said she's going to be diplomatic, of course. She's a Libra. But she says she wants to go around the country talking to people because it's up to us. We've been saying that all along, right?
Hmm.
Okay, Harris's chart. Proudly wearing my t-shirt again today. So, Harris's chart. I've added her Venus, prenatal Venus star point for a reason. And she was born, incidentally, especially if we bring in her prenatal star point, with an air grand trine and a string to fire. So, what have we just been talking about? So her Saturn in Aquarius and her Libra Sun. So, what shall we look at first? The transits. I just think,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay, so let me just stop the share, make sure I've just got the transits around the outside, and then she's got some amazing things happening into her chart, and so we're just going to stay here and talk about this month and the months ahead. But the first thing, just Chiron is stationing retrograde right on her moon in Aries, activating that kite or air grand trine of hers. And here she comes out with this. She said that the system's broken. That's why she does not want to run for office at the moment because the system is broken. Because I think she's realised that the corruption runs deep. And yes, I think some Democrats are involved personally. It's not just MAGA, but oh, some, I say, not all, not the whole party. I don't think they're working together. I do not think it's a uniparty, but that's my opinion about that. So that's just the first thing that just leapt out at me. And let's not go too far ahead yet, because I think we're going to go into the eclipses in September as well. But what else do you notice
Well,
in the
what I want to
moment?
mention
Mhm,
about Chiron stationing retrograde on her moon is Moon in
mhm,
Aries is the fighter moon. It's the I will kick your teeth in. It's the I will
mhm,
run into the burning building
mhm,
and do what is necessary, even if it endangers me. So
mhm,
her prosecutor fighter instincts have something has ground into them, and Chiron stationing retrograde in Aries, her statement of the system is broken is perfect for that. But
mhm.
there's also a huge uh, misuse of power, misuse of bad expression, an negative expression of masculinity and power that's also
Mm.
inherent in that. And so she is putting her whole being into addressing that.
She really is, yeah. And I keep seeing more and more things lighting up as I look at this. So we've got she doesn't have a huge amount apart from her Mercury at the early degrees, but her Mercury is going to be lit up by all of these aspects lining up at 1 degree or zero, yeah, around 1 degree. So Venus currently is making a water trine, which is water is more kind of feeling and flowy, and but her Mercury in Scorpio is a real kind of um, it's dogged in its need to uncover the secrets and the truth, okay, and bring them to light because it's very close to her sun, I think. So this she has real. I think she can see that all of this is kind of crazy working together. And of course, Pluto is retrograde and coming back to square her Mercury again, which and will station direct square her Mercury. So um, just so many things. But anyway, yeah, I'll let you look at something else because I've just spotted one thing that I want to look at when you've had a chat. And I've
Well, Venus
the
in the
chart.
sky is currently trining her Mercury, so this would be a moment for her to speak out for her country, Venus in Cancer,
Mhm,
for what she
mhm,
values, for the sense of family and community. And in her interview with Colbert, she did talk about how she marveled at in her campaign events watching strangers greet each other and see that they were actually neighbors. I don't mean like they physically live next to each other, but there was a community building commonality that came through with that.
mhm.
Everything else I want to say is in September. So that's all I'm going to say for
Yeah.
right now.
Well, just this week as she's doing it, I just wanted to look at the Sun opposing Pallas Athena aspect is right on her centaur Pholus, which is that cause and effect energy, and this is in the ninth house of the courts, justice, prosecutors, things like that. So, she's I just think she's going to be a big part of bringing all this to light, but she's very smart and she's not thinking she just has to whistle blow it all in one go. She's working towards this with all these other aspects that she's got coming up. That's all I really want to say about this week, but this is what's activated her, I think. And
Yeah.
interestingly, on that day, the transiting moon, which I don't normally look at, is making an exact T square too. So this week she's had that activated. It's activating her full moon opposition. Exactly.
And the moon in the eighth house of what you invest in and what you get out of it, the eighth house of criminality, of other people's money, and the hitting
Hmm.
that moon in Capricorn, which is the status quo, the government, the system, the way things have been.
Hmm.
And she's going at, she said, the system is broken. That T square is
Hmm.
an embodiment of that statement, or that statement is an embodiment of that T square. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. So just to give you some exact aspects that she's got, because I did a whole printed off a whole list and I was like, holy heck. So, in August itself, just the next day, transiting Jupiter, which, oh, sorry, last one. I've got to do it to the radix. Sorry about that. To August the 8th, transiting Jupiter as it's sitting on the sun of the USA on the 8th. And she's going to be doing the rounds. She's got this book coming out. Do you know when it's coming out as well?
In September.
Okay.
I don't know the publication date.
But she's going to be talking about it now to kind of get her voice out there, right? But anyway, Jupiter will exactly sextile her Uranus first of all, and that's going to start activating all of this Chiron, Uranus, Pluto, Venus opposition, which is so strong in her chart, and which was really activated back at the election by a big pile up in Pisces, right? And this is
Well,
also activating the eclipses, which we'll look at in a minute. Mhm. Mhm.
so that Uranus, Pluto, Venus in Virgo, two things about this. The first
Mm.
is that's a change agent signature that's
Mhm.
common, well, that's in the charts of people who were born in the mid 60s.
Mhm.
And she is someone who looks at how can we fix this? How can we repair this? How can we bring our values into what we're doing with it? And this is in the fourth house, which is home, family, country. And on the what I find fascinating is Saturn was aspecting that the day she was nominated at
Mhm.
the at the Democratic National Convention. So these aspects are bringing up that time again. Keep that
They
in
are.
mind because there's more coming out. So she more coming out about that. And that then the
And
astrology shows it.
Jupiter is the prosecutor in many ways. It's justice. It's it's like, natural law in many ways. And so she is out for justice in so many ways. Also, just to mention some other things, the transit she has in August, she's got quite a lot of Jupiter aspects. So Jupiter will exactly trine her Chiron, then will sextile her Pluto. So all of this is happening together. Then will also trine her Neptune over here. So, all of these planets, the big heavy hitters, are being aspected by this um, prosecutorial law aspect, and she is determined to uncover it, all the truth, in my opinion, in so many ways. Just noticed Vesta's going back over her Neptune as well, the
And
state.
this will also enhance her or create the glamour of being an inspirational figure when
Yeah.
Jupiter
Oh,
trines that
mhm.
Neptune.
And what were her words about in Colbert? I've always been something or other, she said. She's a genuinely good person who just wants justice, I think, for the people. I know, some people go, well, she did this and she did that, but whatever. So while we're in August, if you don't mind, I'm going to get her solar arc chart up, which is solar arc directions are another form of forecasting, but they are very exact, and you really can only use solar arcs when they are really exact. So on August the 24th, her solar arc Pluto, just let me tune in, is right on her Neptune, exactly, as well as all those transits. And that is huge. That's uncovering all those secrets and digging in deep, but also digging in deep to what really makes her very powerful, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Mm, that's a mass, some people never have that conjunction in their lifetimes with these things. It's huge. So we'll move in. That's all of August. So this is kind of bringing her back out. This is how I kind of see it. This is why she's out now, because of all these activations, and it's leading to a lot more. So what did you want to look at first
The
in
lunar eclipse,
yeah, okay.
please.
Yeah, absolutely. So the lunar eclipse is on September the 7th. Okay, here we go. September the 7th, and it's 15 degrees Pisces, Virgo, and it's well, Mercury is Virgo's guide, so Mercury's in its own sign at that point. It's activating all of this energy that we've just talked about big time. And eclipses are like resets, and this is a blood red moon. This is a total eclipse, right? Um, I think she's her book could be pretty explosive. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. Lunar eclipses have massive, massive revelations and they end chapters. And this is across her home and career axis.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of stuff is going to come out. Eclipses are also, I always say, they're not just one day events. So
No,
we're feeling the pressure of it, and it's going to take months to play out. But right after Labor Day in the U.S., monumental and very much lighting up and resetting her role in the public eye and what her role out in the world is.
yeah, definitely. And just to kind of mention around this eclipse, because as Kathy said, you feel eclipses coming and then things unfold. So, but that month as well, transiting Uranus in Gemini will make an aspect of adjustment exactly to her natal Mercury. So I'm not going to adjust the chart for every aspect, but also transiting Uranus will, no, that's solar arcs. I'll come back to that one. Transiting Pluto will square her Mercury as
Uh,
Uranus makes that adjustment aspect. So I need to look up what the exact publication date is because that's going to be really interesting. And transiting Saturn still will have moved back into Pisces, sorry, at 27 degrees Pisces, revisiting a degree will make a aspect of adjustment exactly to her Libra sun, wanting justice. So all those big transiting planets are just, I mean, let me know if you want me to get one
oh,
exactly.
no, no.
No, because I wouldn't mind looking quickly at her secondary progress chart. She does have,
May I say two things before you
yeah,
do that, though? Because
mm,
I was just looked at my notes and I missed one thing.
mm,
Going back to, so we've got the actual eclipse transits up right now, and you see that they are washing over her Uranus, Pluto, Venus
mhm.
stellium down there in Virgo. And I had mentioned that that was activated on the day she was nominated. So this eclipse is reactivating her nomination, the issue of it, the role that things that played. Maybe the book is all, but I think there's more because of something
Oh,
that happens later in the month. So just remember that there's something I want to say when we get later in the month.
yeah. And I'm just quickly going to draw some lines off because I talked about all those aspects of adjustment and I realize not everybody might be able to visualize it. So Uranus quincunx her Mercury and Uranus in her 12th house, kind of often bringing things out of the shadows again. Uranus aspecting, no, no, that's a solar arc. Ignore that one. Transits Pluto, that was the one. Pluto square her Mercury. So Uranus and Pluto working together in a huge way. On that Mercury, detective. She's a Mercury in Scorpio is a real detective. It kind of really digs in and digs deep. Okay. And was there another? Oh, yeah, there was the Saturn one too. And Saturn to her son. So all of those three happening in the same month. But just to clear them off, she also has to go. So secondary progressions are yet another way of forecasting. So much happening to it. This all of these together, it's like, you know, I thought she won, and she did clearly. But anyway, secondary progressed Mercury. Look at where her secondary progressed Mercury is. It's about coming up to her descendant. It's making an aspect of adjustment again. It's like an itch you need to scratch, really, a quincunx or an inconjunct to her own prosecutor energy in her 12th house. And her secondary progressed moon, she's having a secondary progressed moon square her sun. So
And this is, I'm not going to sit on a beach and drink margaritas. This is, I must
oh,
get up and do something.
this is I have to do something. And her secondary progressed moon is in Cancer, and we are a Cancer country. And isn't this pretty much on the USA's Mercury too?
Yes, and do you know where it also is?
Mm,
It's on Trump's Venus.
yes, it is. Mhm,
Money deals,
yeah.
money deals.
So she
Amen.
doesn't have the exact secondary progress moon square her sun till the end of the month, but it's a, these are slow moving, very impactful aspects. So again, it's not just on a day. And then I'm not going to get the solar arc chart back up, but of course it's square her moon as well. So the people, the people
Hmm.
in mundane charts of events. And so the solar arc's the other form of forecasting. Her solar arc, this solar arc Uranus, her solar arc Uranus will exactly aspect her natal Chiron then too. So they're just building up and building up. So shall we look at the other eclipse?
Yes, because there's something else going on at that point that's really important. Now,
Oh,
the other
yes, there is.
eclipse is going to harken back to the end of March when we had a gigantic pileup of placements in Pisces. And
Mhm.
by the end of by the time of this eclipse, Saturn will be back in the general zone of where all that activity was going on, and this is setting a new way, a new something new into being for her. I will wait till you make your comments, and there's something else I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a new moon eclipse, so it's a solar eclipse, and so it's on the south node, though, so that does kind of usually indicate kind of change that kind of brings up the past or leaves something behind and moves forward to the north node. But this new moon eclipse is opposing Saturn for a start, and her prenatal Venus star point. I did like 3 videos about her leading up to the election because um, long story short, we're always under a 5 pointed Venus star, and they have big impacts historically. She was born as the first Gemini star point. We don't They kind of die out for quite a while, and then they're around for about 100 years. But this was the very first Venus star point, 28 degrees Gemini, her prenatal, where Venus and the sun met while she was in the womb. This eclipse is squaring her Gemini star point. And because she's so Gemini, she's got her north node on her Gemini ascendant. They're only 4 degrees apart. I'm going to say it's square her ascendant and square her nodes too. This is a huge turning point in how she shows up in the world, what she's talking
Mhm.
about, what she's revealing, and Saturn up there. This is kind of like drawing a line under something to my mind as well, saying, not on my watch kind of thing. Because
Mhm.
Saturn's revisiting where it was. I could kind of speak about this for flipping ages, but I just quickly also want to say that 29 is semi-sextile to her sun and a quincunx aspect of adjustment again to her moon. Everything is just like saying this. I'm going to be kind of the leader, I think, in the way of kind of bringing this stuff to light. I don't think she'll do it all on herself, on her own. She's too smart for that. She'll involve other people. What do you think?
Oh, no, this is going to be confronting the uh well, with the Saturn in Pisces stepping forward. She may actually start becoming very honest about things that happened,
Hmm.
about breakdown that has been going on, about the system being broken, about stuff going on with government, about stuff going on with men. I mean, she's always been extraordinarily diplomatic, but there could be a pointedness that comes out.
I
Um,
just realised it's forming a yod.
okay, I thought there had to be one somewhere. So,
Yes, finger of fate, oh God, pointing
yeah, so
at the eclipse. Wow.
mhm.
Yeah,
There's
she's
another
she's
piece
she's had
I
it.
think is
She's just had it, I think, with what she's experienced and witnessed, and yeah, she's going to be a whistleblower kind of thing.
there's another piece that's really, really big. So Mars in Libra is in the last gasp of being in Libra, and it's in a really uncomfortable aspect to the solar eclipse at 29 Virgo. This is what I equate this to the nagging, the thing in your shoe that just will not go away. Where you're compelled to like deal with something, and if you don't, it'll keep bugging you until you deal with it. So there's a tremendous amount of discomfort and a push to do something already. Well, Mars is about to do something very, very interesting. Uh, Somewhere around between the 23rd and the 25th of September, so within a couple of days of the actual eclipse, Mars is going to move on to her Mercury. Mars will be and it's going to square uh, Pluto.
I
So
can,
Mars on her, yeah, could you put that up? Why
yeah, I
this is
can.
important? There what
I
Mars
have
and
to just put
Pluto.
the current transits and then adjust it. So well, you carry on talking while I tell people what I'm doing, or while
Right
I do.
before the election, Mars opposed Pluto at 29 Cancer, 29 Capricorn. On January 6th, Mars opposed Pluto at the early degrees of
Hmm.
Leo, Aquarius. They opposed one more time, and now Mars is moving into an activating it's activating that opposition, and it is by on her she's going to be part of where the truth comes out of where something happens. But by itself in the sky, Mars squaring Pluto is going to reawaken election issues, reawaken issues about what did money do, what did power do, what happened to the technology. And she holds some of that information with it being exactly on her Mercury. By
And
the
look
end
at
of September, the circumstances could have shifted enough where you might actually get overt statements out of her.
hmm well, and look at the aspects on this day. Look at where the moon is, as Mars
Oh,
is exactly the
oh, that's beautiful.
moon, the people, and the sun will be in Libra on that day and aspecting, transiting transiting Sun, aspecting, transiting Pluto as well, and opposing Neptune. This is just
And trining, there's a grand trine, there's a grand air trine on that day.
like,
Uranus in Gemini.
yeah, yeah,
So
there
that's
is.
another flow of info with a demand to do something about it.
Oh, yes.
Do
But I
not
can't
fall
tell.
in a fetal position, people, okay? This
I
is
know.
going to, I mean, no, this is really going to knock a lot of stuff out and out into the open, and there will be a push to do something about it.
Definitely. And another thing I've just noticed, oh my God, because Mercury is her ruling planet, guiding planet, whatever you want to say, as a Gemini rising. Mercury will have moved into Libra by then, retrograde well over, move into her fifth house, which is, a prominent house, and it's opposing her Eris exactly, which is the table turner. Ceres will have retrograded in Aries back almost exactly to her Eris. And this is in the 11th house, which, is people, causes, politics, are also often a big message. And these aspects are just like, oh my God.
And I'll also point out that Mercury at 10 Libra and Eris at 10 Aries, that's that's pulling in the uh, Aries solar eclipse that happened at the end of March when we had this
It
big
is.
pileup of stuff in Pisces. So things from March are coming back around again, and there's also like a push forward. We will probably never know
Mhm.
what happened in her own life at that point that played into this, but
Mhm.
this, no, it's big.
But I'd just kind of like to refresh people's memories a little bit about, like at the inauguration. So yes, January, but all those aspects were kind of building then. She was seen to mouth "Justice is coming" as she walked into the inauguration and looked extremely happy and confident, which I know upset a lot of people because she knew she's so smart. She knew she could not come out and say you stole this election from me because it would have just, things have to come out in their own time and be, like the Election Truth Alliance has been doing work on it and things like that. And now it's starting to come out. But I think she knew about that investigation. Would you agree? Into the election. Mhm.
Oh, I think she had to.
Yeah, exactly. So she knows it was stolen and she knows she won. But she knew that it had to come out in a certain way. So this is all just wow, yeah. And I just noticed as well that Chiron and Eris by transit will be back together at 25 degrees that day. So they've already been conjunct once. That's kind of going to revisit something. And it's still really activating. Everything's just activating her. I don't even know if we need to go much further ahead, but I
Nope,
will.
I think this is planning. Oh, what did you want to do?
Well, I just kind of wanted to actually I'm going to look at one aspect, okay? Because then the eclipses which we've looked at are new and full moons conjunct the transiting lunar nodes, and in November the north node will move back exactly to her Chiron and the south node will be traveling over all of this. That's going to keep all that eclipse energy coming because the eclipses at the nodes stay at 18 degrees for the eclipses. But as they start moving backwards, more and more is going to come out. So that's all I wanted to kind of mention. December the 7th, though, the North Node is opposing um, her Uranus too. So,
So she's not crawling back into the shadows, people, okay?
mhm,
And the questions that many of us have had about things that happened will continue to have more and more coming out and coming out and coming out.
mhm. Yeah, they will. And go watch her interview. Watch the extended one with Colbert. Because as Cassie said to me when we were talking about this before we came on, she is literally speaking the astrology. So, it's like, listen to what she's saying. It's her words. It's quite amazing how she's doing that. But I knew it was her time in the election when I was doing it, and that doesn't mean that she's just going to be installed as president. I don't think things work that way, but her job as a person, whatever, is not finished, right?
Oh, not at
So,
all. And she's involved in cleaning up everything and
oh,
restructuring it.
she really is. It's fantastic. I somehow managed to make my screen bigger, but okay. I think we're done for today. It's exciting. I encourage everybody to just feel excited about this. Yes, the news just seems awful, but I think it's all beyond just the apparent leader of this current country, but he keeps dropping himself in it with his mixed stories about all the Epstein issue, I think. And he's going to continue to do it, I think, as well, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the eclipses affect him too, but we're not going to look at his chart today because I'd rather stay on the.
Positive.
So anyway, do your self-care, have lots of fun because it's all happening, and go check out my book.
And I'll throw in one other thing. From the second big weekend in August, I have like a 3-day residency in Houston. I'm seeing clients on Friday the 15th at Body, Mind, and Soul. I'm giving a talk at Body, Mind, and Soul on Saturday the 16th about the Virgo Pisces eclipses. And then on Sunday, I'm talking about the personal impact of Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and that's for the Houston Astrological Society. If you go to empowermentunlimited.net, click the classes tab, all that information will be right there. So if you're in Houston, come see me.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll see you next time. I'm sure things will be moving on by then. Oh my God. Okay, see you all later.